Hey Froggy friends, Kirostyle here, welcome back to Umineko When They Cry, Episode 8, Twilight of the Golden Witch. Thank you so much for joining me here on stream. Hey everyone! Oh, thank you so much for the stretch, Kieran, I appreciate it. Hey Ash, congratulations on being first today, welcome, welcome. Kieran, good to see you. Ditsinol, thank you so much for stopping by. Hey Wolful, thank you so much. Aru, good to see you today. Psycho Reaper, thank you so much for coming in. So, this is the last episode of Umineko, episode 8. It's been a long ways coming. I tallied up the times, and I think we're like 130 hours in, and I think we'll be about 150 by the time we finish, so it's been a long time coming. It's been a long time coming. Yeah, and feel free to try out the new emotes we have in the channel today. Just added them the other day. One new animated emote and a bunch of other new Kirby faces, so you can feel free to try those out. I hope you enjoy them. So, at the end of episode 7, Badler told Ange that he will tell her the truth of what happened that day on Rokunjima, and he told her that it is a very happy story, because we all know Umineko loves happy endings and happy stories, right? So, when we play through this one as well, it's going to play an opening sequence, and the opening theme song for episode 8 is the same as the opening theme song for episode 7 in the original PC release, which is what you'll hear on Twitch. For the YouTube version of this video, I'm actually going to replace that opening with the PS3 opening for the Answers arc, Nocturne of Truth and Illusions, because I think it's also a really good opening, and I think it's safe to play it now that we've gotten past a lot of the scenes in the game, and a lot of scenes show up in that opening that could potentially be a bit spoilery, although out of context, they're not really as spoilery. But anyways, you guys on Twitch here will see the original opening, regardless. Anyways, I think we're ready to go. Oh yeah, the other thing I want to mention is, for episode 8, I'm going to stream it slightly differently. Most Umineko episodes I cover in about 5 streams or so. I'm going to stretch episode 8 out to 6 streams, because I think it divides the story up a little bit better, and it'll make more sense later on, as you see. So a couple of these streams might be a little bit shorter, including today's stream. A bit shorter than usual, but that's okay. I want to finish up this episode within the next couple of weeks, ideally. But I think it's a really good conclusion as well. Was there anything else I was going to say? Oh yeah, this episode's unique compared to other Umineko episodes, because this one actually has player input. There's a couple sections of this episode that actually require player input. Wow, how revolutionary. But you'll see in a few spots, and I'll explain them as you go. So don't worry about that, but I thought it was just worth mentioning it. So, let's get going. Episode 8, Twilight of the Golden Witch. This story is very obviously fictional and fantastic in nature. Any resemblance to existing individuals, organizations, locations, or incidents is entirely coincidental. Two silhouettes could be seen in the chapel. A big brother and a little sister. The big brother who would never return from that day 12 years in the past, and the little sister who waited all alone 12 years in the future. However, the big brother knew everything, understood everything, and the little sister knew nothing, understood nothing. So no matter how much time passed, the little sister remained as the girl she had been 12 years before. She remained a 6-year-old girl forever. Her sobs into his chest finally subsided. She quietly waited for his next words. After patting her head gently, the big brother fished around inside his shirt pocket. Then he took that out. Are you listening, Ange? Take good care of this. What is it? A key? Adler took a large key attached to a necklace out of his pocket, then held it out to Ange. It was large enough to cover his entire palm, and little Ange probably wouldn't even be able to wrap her hand all the way around it. The key glittered gold and had a beautiful, intricate design. Its weight alone made it clear that this key was something very important. Adler put the necklace around Ange's neck. This precious key is yours alone. What's it for? The time to use it will come soon. When it does, you'll have to decide for yourself. Understand? Of course, she didn't have a clue what Badler was saying, but she did realize he was telling her to take good care of this key. So, Ange nodded, at least in response to that part. In her hand, the key had felt heavy. However, now that it was around her neck, it felt as light as an ordinary necklace. How strange. Okay, let's go. Where to? She had been sure that her brother was about to sit down. After all, just a second ago, he said that he'd tell her what happened on Rokenjima on that day. She'd expected him to tell her here. On that day, on that island, just what is it that happened? I thought you were going to tell me about that, Oni-chan. Absolutely, and you'll be given the chance to listen. However, to you, it may not feel as though you're merely listening to a story. What does that mean? What you really want isn't to know what happened on that island on that day. So he does understand after all. What happened on that island that day? Trying to answer that question was all I was capable of, so I wished for nothing more. But if I could, I'd want to go there. To that island. On that day. To Rokenjima. On that day I couldn't go. To the Ushimiya family mansion. To Mom and Dad. To all the cousins, all the relatives, and everyone else. I want to go back to that island on that day. So I remained the way I was on that day. My heart and soul stopped, stuck as a 6-year-old's forever. I want to go home. I know. Mom, Dad, Oni-chan, everyone. I want to go home to where everyone is. That's why I've decided to invite you there. Huh? Your Oni-chan is the game master now. Only those who know everything about the game board can open it up and invite pieces in. So I'll invite you to come to the game board. You'll take me to Rokenjima on that day? That's right. I'll invite you to the Rokenjima of 1986. Will I be able to see everyone? Of course. Even though my memory's vague, and I can't remember anyone's face clearly. You'll remember soon enough. And there will be a reunion after 12 years for you. It'll only have been a short gap for us. Everyone will welcome you. When you finally return from the distant future, everyone will welcome you. Will I be able to stay there forever? This way, I can be with everyone forever. This is the goal I'm supposed to reach. Ange, listen to me carefully. The Ballard spoke in an admonishing tone, as though warning me this was a dream that wouldn't be granted. The Rokenjima family conference usually ends after a single night. Because of the typhoon that day, the boat couldn't come and it lasted 2 nights. So when the typhoon passes, I'll have to leave the island again. Not exactly. That decision is yours as well, Ange. Hey Hikaru, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for stopping by today. You'll decide that yourself. I understand, of course. I don't exist on that island on that day. It's a miracle just to be invited there like this. Just the 2 days before the typhoon passes. Just getting those 2 days to myself is already the sort of miracle that will never come again. If I'm greedy enough to ask for more, that faint miracle might vanish. Even though I know this, my young heart, which was still 6 years old, wasn't satisfied with such a short-lived miracle. I don't want to leave. I know. I'll be with everyone forever. I'll stay with my family. Even if Oni-chan says I have to head back, I'll stay on Rokenjima. You can stay, or you can leave. But it's not as though one of those is the right choice. That's not how it works, Ange. Even so, you'll let me choose? Yes. That's what the key is for. Adler touched the glittering key that hung from Ange's neck. I've already made my decision. You don't have to decide now. The time to choose will come soon. When it does, you must use your honest heart to choose how you'll use that key. You don't need to listen to anything your Oni-chan tells you. You're free to choose your answer in any way you like. However, if you're a good kid, and if you trust your Oni-chan, if I can, then believe everything Oni-chan says. I'll believe all of it. That will lead to the best choice for you. Listen to your Oni-chan's words and believe everything. Can you do that? I don't know. That's good enough. Believe whatever you want to. That's also a choice you can make. If I don't believe Oni-chan, will I wake up from this dream? That won't happen. So don't worry. For some reason, Ange was suspicious of her brother and scared of him. Her wish was to remain on the island on that day, together with her family, forever. She was afraid that once she got her 2 miraculous days, her brother might tell her to be satisfied with that and return to the 12 years in the future all alone. I've already told you, there is no right decision. You can go, or you can stay. That's for you to decide. And you don't need to make your decision right now. And no one will force me to make either choice? Of course. And Oni-chan will tell me to go back to the future. There is a choice your Oni-chan wants you to make. Even so, Oni-chan wants to respect your decision and let you reach it of your own accord, regardless of what it happens to be. And I just told you, I've already made my choice. And I just told you, now isn't the time to choose. When will it be time? The key will tell you. The large gold key hung from Ange's neck. Her small hand held it tightly. At that moment, she noticed a book lying on the chapel's altar. The book had a lock on it and was sealed, so it could not be read without a key. Ange looked between the key hanging at her chest and the book on the altar. Will this key unlock that book? Don't touch that book. His sudden, forceful response made Ange flinch. Valor, realizing he had scared Ange, softened his expression. Come on, let's go. I'm inviting you to come back to October 4th, 1986. Okay. Valor held out his hand and Ange gripped it tightly. Then they started walking. A brilliant light lay beyond the chapel's door. That blinding light peeked in through the cracks around the door. The brother and sister began to walk through to the other side. Welcome back, and this will be the last time. I'm opening this game board one last time for you. And there we have it, the start to episode 8. Gah! Fall, fall, fall! Once again, Captain Kawabata's ferry boat to Rokkenjima cut across the sea in perfect form. Yes, the tale of October 4th, 1986 always begins with Battler's screams. But this time, one thing was different. There was another yell alongside Battler's. Battler was screaming. The other was laughing? Fall, fall, fall! No! Fun, fun, fun! Battler's face looks funny. Alongside the big brother who is grasping at the handrail and screaming in a way no one that age should scream, was the little sister also grasping the handrail and jumping about like it was a ride at an amusement park. George and the others just couldn't hold in their laughter at the difference. I guess Battler-kun hasn't changed much these past 6 years. He's as excited as ever. Plus, Ange and Maria look much more cheery than usual this year. Could this be the first time we've all had all 5 cousins together? Oh, is it? I get it. That explains why it's noisier this year than any other year before. George Aniki, this is way too fast, right? I'm begging you, ask the driver to slow down before it's too late. Yeah, this is too fast. Bandler's so pathetic. I want to go faster. Faster, faster. Any faster than this and I'll fall right off the boat. Will that make you happy? I'm gonna fall. Going by popular vote, I'd have to say the Bandler's proposal is rejected. Look out, Oni-chan. Look, you're gonna fall. Scaredy cat Bandler needs to be punished. Pickle time. Wait, stop, Maria. You too, Ange. No. Thank goodness. I was worried about Ange's health, but it's too sad to leave her behind at home. I'm glad we decided to bring her anyways. Wasn't she very sick shortly before you left? She was all better this morning. Kids can be so incredible sometimes. She's the kind of person whose health takes a hit when she's stressed. It's not that strange for people like that to get all better when the big day finally comes. She must really have been looking forward to playing with all 5 of the cousins together. Oh, just watching them play together makes you feel charged with energy, doesn't it? The adults smiled as they watched the children play around. Ange, who had gotten very sick, and who everyone thought would be absent, made a miraculous recovery. Thanks in part to her strong desire to join in, she had come along to the family conference with the others. And so, for the first time ever, all 5 cousins were gathered together. October 4th, 1986 became a day like no other. You like my old lady voice? The kids dashed up the path leading from the harbor to the rose garden. They were probably so charged up that even walking was too boring for them. See that? First place! Adler was the first one to reach the rose garden, which was the goal. Apparently he was trying to make up for the dishonor he had suffered on the boat by proving his superiority on land. A short while later, Ange and Maria reached him in dead heat. I'm second. I'm faster than Ange. Ugh. No, you aren't. Maria-chan cheated. I'm second. The 3-year gap between Ange and Maria was large, especially since both of them were growing kids. It was only natural that Maria was faster, but Ange seemed to be complaining about a shoulder bump at the start line. Maria-chan cheated, so she gets last place. Teacher always says you get last place if you cheat, protested Ange. Oh, come on, no need to fight. Still, both of you are really fast. It's been a long time since I've run that much. The breeze feels so nice. Are you out of shape, George Aniki? You know, anyone who has to run the race to make it before the bell every time gets strong legs by default. In other words, being a fast runner is proof that you sleep in a lot. Oni-chan always sleeps in. He didn't wake up today either, so I had to wake him up. Right? A stomp followed by a flying elbow, and that body plex from that toy rope or top rope at the end there just about finished me. That sounds more likely to put you in eternal sleep. Sounds fun! I want to do it too! I'll bet Oni-chan sleeps in tomorrow too. We'll wake him up together this time, okay? I'd recommend against staying up too late tonight. Finally, the adults came into sight. The cousins waved at them, urging them to hurry up. Ange and Maria were so excited they could hardly wait. Just by having all 5 cousins together. Just by having Ange added to the group. Look at how energetic this day has become. Excuse me, the family members have arrived.
So they made it.
I must let father know. Are they all in the guest house now? Yes. They will meet you here after they have set down their luggage. Understood. Cannon, please show them the way. Shannon, quickly get some tea ready. As you wish, madam. Father, it's me, Kraus. It's about time for you to get ready. After Kraus knocked on the door, it opened from the inside. Oh, Dr. Nanjo. How is father doing? No need to worry. He's changing as we speak. I think he's just a little nervous. Who are you calling nervous? No, I cannot find my favorite one-wing necktie pin. How many times must I tell Natsui? My possessions must never be moved without my approval. Apparently Kinzo had been running around for some time just because he couldn't decide on a tie and a tie pin. Kinzo, who felt that the dignity of the family head must always be preserved, usually made a big deal about the head's attire being equally dignified. Hey Hakaze, welcome to the stream. Thanks for stopping by today. Will he make it in time? Do you think you could give us a little longer? We'll come down as soon as he's ready. Understood. I'm counting on you, Dr. Nanjo. Father, I must say that necktie pin looks splendid on you. This necktie pin, you say? This pin? The family conference is held but once a year. There shall be no compromise. I must have that necktie pin. Where is it? Where? Kinzo-san, you already looked in that drawer 5 seconds ago. Besides, you own several splendid necktie pins. Is it not stylish to select something fitting to match fate's whims? You think so? So I don't need to use the one-winged eagle pin? As Kraus watched Nanjo calm Kinzo down, he started finding it hard to believe this doctor wasn't his own mother. ACB, welcome to the stream. Thanks for stopping by. Well, it was always like this. He always makes a fuss when no one's looking, but when the time comes, he makes his decision with pride. After asking Nanjo to come down by lunch at the latest, Kraus snuck out of the study. What do you think? A splendid aroma, is it not? And a unique one as well. I've never had pumpkin tea before. That little touch of sweetness makes it delicious. As one step in preparing the tea for the guests, Goda let Shannon try a bit first. Until then, Shannon had thought it would be outrageous for a servant such as herself to drink the same thing as the family and their guests. However, according to Goda, that kind of thinking was a mistake. One must not serve something if one does not know the taste beforehand. For example, when you visit a restaurant and a dish you've never heard of catches your eye, what are you likely to ask the waiter? How does this dish taste, correct? I see. So if the waiter says that he's never eaten it before, that would seem a bit odd. Precisely. As a matter of course, anyone serving their customers must be deeply acquainted with the taste of the tea and food they serve. And you'll always feel happier serving a sort of tea that you've tried and enjoyed for yourself. That's right. After tasting tea this delicious, I can't wait to let everyone else try it. And because of that, we servants must be very familiar with the taste of all sorts of foods. That's why sampling food whenever I can is part of my job description. It's a perk as well as our job. You understand? Yes. Everything is proceeding smoothly. Are there any problems with the tea? Oh, Genji-san, you must try some as well. Seeing as it's almost Halloween, I decided to make some pumpkin tea. Later, perhaps. The family will be arriving at the mansion very soon. It looks as though the children will be joining in. Yes, sir. The cups are ready to go as well. At that moment, the kitchen's extension line started to ring. Genji, who was standing right beside it, swiftly picked up the receiver before the second ring. Shannon and the others always thought Genji looked like a samurai when he did this. Understood. Take care when guiding them. After giving that short response, Genji set the receiver down. That was canon. The relatives will be here shortly. The children are with them. Shannon, Kumasawa, go to serve them. Goda, hurry up with that tea. Yes, sir. The family conference. It was the largest event of the year for the servants. They were all excited and determined to make it through together once again this year. Kraus-sama, I have led the relatives here. Oh ho, there you are. Were there any troubles on your trip here? Nissan, you've been doing pretty well for yourself lately, haven't you? Is it about time you bought a private jet? After all, no one was in the plane but the family as usual. I'm glad. Ange-chan made it. I was so worried when I heard she was sick to come. Thanks for your concern. She suddenly got all better this morning. My tummy ache went away. I rubbed my tummy clockwise. That's a magical ritual to heal tummy aches. Now Maria, quiet down. Oh, is that Badler-kun? You've grown so big! It's been 6 years, hasn't it? You've grown splendidly. Well, I do keep getting bigger at least. Can't really say that about his guts, though. I'm just happy to learn he's still the same old Badler-kun. Badler may be bigger, but he's still Badler. This brat's always been terrified of falling off planes and boats and stuff. That must be Asumi-san's blood, right? When he was a kid and we went to theme parks, we always went on some of the wilder rides. That's probably what did it. Don't they have height restrictions for those? No, I don't mean that kind. You know, those paddle boats and teacup rides, right? Looks like we took those a bit too rough back there in the day. I've always gone a bit overboard on rides like that, Rudolph Nissan. I see. Poor Badler-kun. Poor Badler-kun indeed. Still, it's comforting in a way. Even after all this time, nothing says Badler-kun like a fear of riding things. Oni-chan isn't scared of riding things, he's just scared of falling off them. Fall. Hey, stop running around. Maria, you're one of the big cousins now, right? Set a good example. Pardon me, I brought some tea for everyone. A pleasant aroma followed Shannon as she came into the room, pushing a serving cart. Even Ange and Maria, who had been running around in circles, sat down obediently when they heard that the drinks were here. By the way, what's Dad doing? He should be down here soon. He's been rushing about all morning trying to choose a tie. You mean all that about choosing an attire suitable for the family head? Father's always been picky about ties, hasn't he? It's just something he has a passion for. Staying stylish is a good thing. And yet he always shows up wearing the same tie in the end. The family members burst out laughing. The sweet scent of Goda's specially made pumpkin tea spread throughout the parlor, and the calm atmosphere grew more cheery and exciting. Look, Mama, it's a pumpkin cookie for Halloween! Oh, that's right. The sweet scent is kabocha, right? That's right. Today we have some special pumpkin-flavored tea for you to try. It really is delicious, so I suggest you try some without sugar first. Yeah-san. Watch your sleeve. Wow. So kabocha tea actually does exist. Goda-san really did his homework. Delicious. This is excellent. You could taste the kabocha's natural sweetness. Kabocha tea, huh? Still, kabocha always tastes best in tempura. It's pumpkin, not kabocha. Yeah, pumpkin's different from kabocha. This is pumpkin. Maria seemed to think the English word was more fitting for Halloween, but it looked like Ange thought kabocha and pumpkins were entirely different things. Everyone laughed, but Ange, not knowing why she was being laughed at, cocked her head to one side discontentedly. Just when it looked like she was about to get in a bad mood and start grumbling, Maria started teaching her a cookie game, and Ange immediately became engrossed with that distraction. Then the sound of approaching footsteps drifted in from the hallway. When the relatives realized whose footsteps those must be, they straightened up. Those quick footsteps stopped for a moment, just outside the parlor door, as though someone was taking a deep breath and setting up a dramatic pause. Then the door exploded open as Kinzo yelled out loud with Genji and Nanjo standing behind him. Happy Halloween! And trick or treat! Trick or treat! The cousins shouted it back. The adults returned the greeting too, looking embarrassed and refusing to meet his gaze. Ange alone stood there with her mouth open, unable to comprehend what had just happened. Welcome, my grandchildren. If you don't give me a treat, I shall trick you! Go ahead, Maria. Happy Halloween, Grandfather! I got you a really incredible one this year, you'll be surprised. Maria picked up a present that had been hidden behind a sofa. Come to think of it, all the relatives were now holding similar packages. Come on, Ange, you too. Give this to Grandfather. Kyrie handed Ange a neatly wrapped present. Oh, Maria, you're always so thoughtful. Grandpa's so happy. As Kinzo took Maria's present, a smile broke out across his face, and he rubbed his cheek up against it. Master, your dignity. Oh, that's right. You have pleased your grandfather greatly, my granddaughter. In return for the treat you have given me, I promise not to trick you at this coming year. Now it's your turn, Grandfather. If you don't give me a treat, I'll prank you. Indeed, I'm well aware. Genji. Here. Genji fished through something that looked like Santa Claus's sack and pulled out a present addressed to Maria, handing it over to Kinzo. Here you go, Maria. Here's a present from me. I'm warning you, it's so cute. Such a waste to give it up to you. Master. Dignity. This is a present from the Ushimiya family head to Maria. It is a cute, an item worthy of the Ushimiya family's dignity and grace. Take good care of it. Thank you, Grandfather. I love you. Mwah. Ugh. Oh, Maria, my adorable granddaughter. Mwah, mwah. By this point, even Genji had to give up on Kinzo's dignity. Still, the dignity of the family head had lasted a full 10 seconds longer than usual this year. Yeah, this is so pleasant, this is so nice and happy, right? This is how it's always like, right? This is the true Rokonjima, right? Happy Halloween, Grandfather! This is from me. Happy Halloween. This one's mine. I hope you like it. Oh, George, Jessica. I must thank you once again this year. I'm so happy. With tears streaming down his face, Kinzo hugged George and Jessica. Oh, and Bather-kun too. I'm so glad you returned to the family. It's been lonely without you these 6 years. Well, anyway. Happy Halloween! Not sure if you'll like it, though. Don't worry, Battler. I know you have things you want to say, things you want to ask. But now is not the time. Grandfather. I'm glad you've returned to the Ushimiya family. It makes me feel happy. Slowly, Kinzo moved forward and hugged Battler. Battler drew back at first, but then he understood Kinzo's feelings and hugged him back. Ange watched the scene play out, shocked. Was Ushimiya Kinzo always this kind of person? Ange, you're up. Go on, give it to Grandfather. Okay. Ange didn't have a clue what was going on. She took the present her mother had given her and walked forward timidly. Kinzo's face, which had looked so cheery a second ago, suddenly became stern as soon as Ange stepped forward. No, it didn't become stern. That expression was the one always worn by Kinzo inside Ange's mind. This was Ushimiya Kinzo. He was fickle, short-tempered, and always wore a stern expression on his face. This was the most terrifying person in the Ushimiya family. It felt as though the world went suddenly quiet, and it only did that when I stepped forward. Why? Why only for me? But isn't this how it should be? Isn't this the Ushimiya Kinzo I expect? The Ushimiya Kinzo I understand. I was like a puppet carrying a tea tray. I walked forward bewildered, but the present held out in front of me and stopped in front of Kinzo. Without letting his expression change in the slightest, Kinzo slowly reached out and touched the present. Ange! In an instant, Ange was caught in a firm embrace, present and all. Here, I'll hide myself so we can see Maria. Kinzo's white beard rubbed against her cheek. Grandpa is so happy. I'm so glad to be blessed with such lovely grandchildren. I feel happy. So happy the tears just won't stop. Just won't stop. Master, your nose is running. That and your dignity. Oh, Genji, forgive me. As the old man blew his nose, he didn't look like he could possibly be anyone other than a kindly grandpa overcome with tears at his grandchildren's gifts. Thank you, Ange. I heard you chose to come even though you weren't feeling well at all. I'm so glad. Here, this is for you. He pressed a large gift box to Ange's chest. She finally realized that all of Kinzo's presents were wrapped differently and in boxes of different sizes. I wonder what he got you, Ange. I hear the grandfather always personally chooses what he'll give each one of us. Pretty incredible with all these people. He picks them himself. Every year. He does. What? Every year? He picks... what? Himself? This bizarre ceremony happens every year. The cousins were all happily chattering about what their Halloween presents would be this year. Maria came up to Ange and suggested they compare the weights of their presents, but for some reason Ange just stared blankly. After that, the adults also handed their presents to Kinzo one by one, receiving a gift in return, along with considerate words about their health and questions about how they've been doing recently. Then, after watching to see all the exchanges had been completed, Goda appeared and announced that lunch was ready. Is it ready? Come, ladies and gentlemen, let us enjoy the splendid lunch that Goda has prepared for us. Quickly to the dining hall. This way, everyone. Follow me. We will carry your presents to your rooms in the guest house. Please feel free to leave them here as you leave for lunch. The relatives stood up, leaving their presents where they lay on tables and sofas, and followed Kinzo out of the parlor. Only Ange remained standing there, stunned, as she clutched the present Kinzo had given her. Goda's lunches had never betrayed expectations before. When Hideyoshi said that these meals were the only reason anyone ever came to the family conferences, everyone laughed and nodded. The delicious food caused conversations, not controversies yet, to erupt all over the room. You've gotten so big. How have you been lately? Pretty good. It was a fun meal with everyone asking each other about the latest and laughing together. The Ushimiya family sat at meals in a specific ranked seating order, so the adult siblings, the cousins, and the spouses all sat in groups. So conversations sprung up naturally. Ange had withdrawn slightly from the cousins' chat and was looking around the dining hall. What are Kinzo and the adult siblings doing? Their conversations seem to be peaceful and fun. Most of the time, the siblings were mothers or fathers of their own households. However, when they gathered together by themselves in front of Kinzo, that burden was lifted from their shoulders, and they became young and bright as though they'd gone back to being kids again. Rudolph, who was usually an easygoing father, who nonetheless had a sense of dignity, became so bright and cheery in this group that it almost looked like there was another battler. Even Kinzo looked peaceful and relaxed. He didn't say a word about money or the inheritance. In fact, he didn't even insult his children or call them incompetent. He just looked like a happy old man, genuinely pleased to have his whole family together for the only time this year. The group of spouses was just as harmonious. The mothers kept bringing up problems with education and household matters, as well as family health issues. Hideyoshi and Nanjo happily joined in on their conversation. What about the cousins? There was no way such an enjoyable meal with such a fun group of friends could fail to be raucous. Maria was in her element, showing off her knowledge of Halloween trivia. George and Jessica would nod in understanding. Badler would say something stupid and Maria would laugh at him. If I wanted, I could easily join in on that conversation. And if the dessert caught my attention, I could easily slip out of the conversation too. It was happiness, both fun and natural. It felt like waking up from a daydream to be greeted by the rays of the springtime sun. According to the weather report, we can expect a big storm sometime tonight. It's supposed to be a typhoon. Looks like we'll be stuck here for more than one night again. I do not mind in the least. You may stay here as long as you wish. If it would mean seeing my adorable grandchildren's faces more, I would pray for rain every day. Give us a break. We do have to work. We do have work to get back to. Why don't you leave the island, Father? That way you could see your grandchildren wherever you wanted. True. Living on a remote island may have a sense of majesty, but haven't you had your fill of it? It's too noisy in the city. I much prefer a quiet island with no one on it but my family. I like it here. But on Rokujima, if something happens, it would take some time for a doctor to arrive. I agree. At your age, I think you should at least consider moving to Nijima. I am old now. I want to live in peace, surrounded only by my family. And I am satisfied. I have this island to make that dream of mine come true. Father. It seems I've gotten you all down. Ladies and gentlemen, this ends Goda's lunch. Grandchildren, it will probably be raining constantly starting tomorrow. Now is your last chance to see clear skies. Why not enjoy the flowers and take a walk on the beach? That sounds good. Okay, everyone, let's go. I want to see the flowers and walk on the beach. We can collect shells and collect glass too. Collect glass? That sounds a bit dangerous. Fragments of glass get washed by the waves and become round, beautiful gems which drift to shore. Did you forget, Badler? Remember how we used to pick them up together? Oh, were those glass fragments? I always thought they were just pretty stones. Have you ever seen a glass gem, Ange? No. Then let's go! I'll show you. Let's go, let's go. But the first to see them gets to keep them. I'm gonna get them all. In that case, I'm not gonna lose either. Let's see who can find the prettiest, biggest glass gem. Alright. At times like this, why not be a kid? I'm not gonna lose either. Then we'll head down to the beach. Indeed. Take it easy and enjoy your time together, grandchildren. The cousins rose from their seats and noisily left the dining hall. Maria grabbed Ange's hand and dragged her along. However, Ange's expression was vague and absent-minded, the opposite of Maria's full smile. The cousins walked along the beach, playing in all kinds of ways. They searched for bits of glass, polished by the waves to become small and gem-like. They caught up on news of each other's lives and joked around. They wrote words in the sand. They chased the receding waves and ran away from the coming ones. The cousins enjoyed the time they had to themselves. Get back here, Maria. You won't get off easy this time. Ahaha. No way, no way. You'll get hurt if you fall. Be careful, you two. Feels like the wind's gotten stronger. Maybe we should head back soon. You're right. I think the sky's getting cloudier too. Adler-kun, Maria-chan, I think we should call it a day soon and head back to the guest house for the time being. No way. I want to play more. Hey, don't ignore your cousin. Okay, that's all for now. Here, I'll give you my glass gem. Really? Thank you, Badler. Now I have the most, so I win. Ange, are you okay? Yeah. What's wrong, Ange? You look a little down. She's just tired out. Come on, let's all head back together. Ange's expression probably did look tired. However, Badler alone thought he saw something else in it. What's wrong? Can you tell me? It's nothing. She said that, but something in her expression showed that she was unsatisfied for some reason. Since Ange didn't say what it was, and Badler couldn't think of anything, he was unable to guess anymore. So he squeezed her small hand, silently letting her know that she could tell him whenever she was ready. Even though it had seemed like such a bright sunny day a second ago, the sky turned gray, and the wind started to feel more annoying than pleasant. If they waited around, they would probably see scattered raindrops as well soon. I guess it'll be raining the whole time from now on. What a pain. Still, even though it didn't last long, it was fun to be a kid again. I can't wait to show Mama this glass gem. I'm gonna tell her I won. Even though you only won because I gave you mine. I got it, so it's mine. So I won. Ange walked distractedly, pulled along by her brother. George and the others thought she had probably woken up too early and was tired, so they didn't try to talk to her too much. As they reached the end of the forested path, the rose garden lay before them. They could see strong winds making the rose bushes wave. Mama, look! I won! Maria ran forward, waving her hands about and yelling. It looked as though Rosa was waving to them from the front of the guest house. I'm gonna head back to my room for a sec. I'll meet you in the cousin room right after. Okay, got it. See you later then. Jessica ran off in the direction of the mansion. George turned around as though suggesting that they had better get going too. However, when he saw Ange standing still with a crabby look on her face, he realized that something might have put her into a bad mood. Is everything okay? Yeah, she's fine. Sorry, but would you mind going on ahead of us? Sure, got it. See you later. George headed for the guest house. The only ones left in the rose garden were Badler, who was waving at George, and Ange, who was still staring at the ground and holding Badler's hand. For the past few minutes, he had repeatedly asked Ange what was wrong. He realized that this wasn't anything like a stomachache or something obvious that had made her grumpy. However, younger girls sometimes get upset for reasons that only they can understand. Adler knew this, so he didn't rush her in any way, and continued to gaze around the beautiful rose garden, holding her hand. Oni-chan. What is it? Where are we? She asked the question as though she was talking about something on the other side of the silver screen. Though Badler understood what that question meant, he played dumb. Where are we? We're on Rokujima, right? You're wrong. No, I'm not. How is this Rokujima? It's the Rokujima of October 4th, 1986. The Rokujima you've always wanted to see for so long. That's a lie. Why do you say that? This is totally fake. Ange wrenched her hand from her brother's grip. That hand hit a rose and sent flower petals flying. I don't lie. How is this supposed to be the truth? Ange spat those words out. However, Balor's expression remained calm and composed. What don't you like about it? Ushime Kinzo, for example. He wasn't anything like that, right? What grandfather wouldn't smile when he's been reunited with his grandchildren after a long time? Ushime Kinzo wasn't that kind of person. Ushime Kinzo was... strict, discontented, short-tempered, and quick to anger. So you do understand. What was all that back there? How is that supposed to be Ushime Kinzo? Halloween? Exchanging presents? What the hell was that? That's nothing like Ushime Kinzo. This is nothing like Rokujima. Don't you remember, Ange? Remember what? We did that every year, didn't we? Every year? That? Well, I guess it's no surprise. The last time you went to family conference, you were less than 6 years old. So it's only natural you wouldn't remember. It's only natural I don't remember. Ange understood what her brother was trying to say. However, she couldn't accept it. It's true that Ushime Kinzo was a rigid man. When he was younger, he really was strict with his kids, apparently. And while it's probably not wrong to say it was pretty traumatic for Dad and the others, and that they're still a bit scared of him. The grand tale of how Kinzo restored the Ushime family was more than enough to paint him as a rigid, terrifying man. Furthermore, Kinzo was an investor. All the legends and tales that made him seem more mysterious had probably worked in his business's favor. At times, Kinzo may have even acted out this part people expected, endeavoring to make his presence all the more empowering. That's why the world at large spoke of Ushime Kinzo as a strict, short-tempered man. And they even thought of him as fickle, bold, incomprehensible, eccentric. But that was just the face grandfather showed to the world. That's not how he acted in private alone with his family. Are you saying that weeping old man who doted on his grandchildren, is that the real Ushime Kinzo? He must have played with you and patted your head many times. Do you really not remember? Stuff like that might have happened once or twice. That must have been a mere whim of his. My parents told me all the time. Grandfather's a terrifying person, so make sure you act properly. They always said that he's very scary, so take care. And that means he was a scary person. When you were little, you would always accept whatever your parents said and take it too seriously. To put it nicely, you were obedient, but to put it bluntly, you were a kid with an overactive imagination. Dad and the others were just trying to make you realize how important it was to be polite. I saw it though. I knew about it. I knew that Ushime Kinzo was a scary person. I've even seen him yelling in anger. I'll never forget it. Well, like you saw just now, Grandfather could be a bit abrupt at times. He might just have been trying to surprise you. Or it might have slipped out when he was having a serious discussion with his kids. And you think I just got scared for no reason? Got the wrong idea? That can't be true. That can't be true. I mean, I still remember it. I know I saw Ushime Kinzo yelling and being scary. Mom and Dad were terrified too, so I know I'm right. The impression you had of Grandfather when you were young remained with you, and that impression grew inside you as you grew up. How many times did Ange see Kinzo in her life? How old was she the last time she saw him? Ange, who got sick easily when under pressure, couldn't have gotten into Rokujima often. And since she was absent for the family conference when she was 6, her last memories of him must have come from when she was just 5 years old. But even you haven't seen Ushime Kinzo for 6 years. That's right. But when I finally came back after 6 years, I saw that grandfather hadn't changed in the slightest. Kinzo was fickle, and you could never understand what he was thinking. And he was an eccentric with a creepy love for the occult, and... It's true he had a love for the occult. Yeah, it was a bit of a strange hobby for him to get into his final years. I'll admit that his hobby of collecting strange objects to scare his grandchildren and laugh at them wasn't exactly praiseworthy. Even Badler had been pranked by Kinzo in the past. He'd do things like showing off an attaché case with 7 strange stakes in it, and say something about how they were once used in the Middle Ages to gouge the hearts of victims in a witch's ceremony. When Kinzo did things like that, it was pretty scary, but looking back on it now, they were really just childish pranks. Grandfather only scared his grandchildren because he wanted to joke around with them. I'd be willing to bet that grandfather pulled a prank like that on you too. It's no surprise that, young as you were, you let that scare you and convince you that grandfather was a strange, terrifying person. I don't know what you're talking about, Oni-chan. Ange bit her lower lip and stared at the ground. She said she didn't understand, but in truth, she understood perfectly and was refusing to accept it. Remember how we traded Halloween presents in the parlor just now? What was all that about? The Ushime family never did anything that sentimental. It's almost as though you don't remember it at all. Are you saying I got presents once too? I don't remember anything like that. That could never happen. Do you really think that grandfather, a man who loved the occult and Western traditions, wouldn't celebrate Halloween? Grandfather's Happy Halloween was pretty much the standard greeting at our family conferences. He must have said it to you too. Youth can be so cruel. Even though grandfather put all his heart into choosing those presents, looks like your heart didn't remember anything. Are you saying I was just too young to remember, and that was the truth of October 4th? On that day, just like 6 years before, grandfather entered the parlor with a cry of Happy Halloween. Then he and I traded presents, as he shed tears over our long-awaited reunion after a 6-year gap. Grandfather seemed so sad that Ange wasn't able to come. So he gave Kirie-san a present, telling her to make sure that Ange got it. I never heard anything about a present like that. Mom never gave it to me. Hey Lork, welcome to the stream. Thanks for coming by. Yes, we're having a very pleasant Ushimiya family gathering, and everyone's very happy and celebrating Halloween. But Ange doesn't seem to buy it. True. She never had the chance. I don't believe it. I won't believe that was Ushime Kinzo. Then what about the family conference itself? Wasn't there a tense argument over the distribution of the inheritance? All the adult siblings were in money trouble. That's why they all long for Kinzo's inheritance money. Ange, where did you hear that from? What do you mean, where? It's the truth, isn't it? Do you think Dad would talk to you about financial difficulties with his company when you're that age? Not just Dad. Even Uncle Kraus, Aunt Ava, Aunt Rosa were in money trouble and wanted Kinzo's inheritance money. Do you really think they talk about it in front of you? I like how Badler's basically gaslighting Ange. But it's true, isn't it? In the end, it was true. Ange's words were not mistaken. Not only Rudolph, but even Kraus, Hideyoshi, and Rosa had companies in money trouble. People started talking about the Rokonjima explosion accident as though it was some sort of conspiracy, and a mystery imagined by the public covered the island. Weekly magazines and television shows researched the circumstances of Kinzo's children at the time, and in the future where Ange lived, that research had been made public. You learned about all that after 1986. But it's a fact, isn't it? There's no difference between facts and truth. Does that prove the inheritance created a strained atmosphere between the relatives and Rokonjima? I guess that might fit with your memory of your parents telling you repeatedly to be extra polite at the family conference. Are you saying that what I know about Rokonjima, about what I know about the Ushimiya family, is wrong? You're the one who's wrong, Oni-chan. There's no way something like that could be possible. I won't accept that that was Ushimi Kinzo. I could never accept that. So you don't believe, Ange? That's right, I don't believe. I don't understand why you're showing me something like this. After all, this is your game. No, your game board, isn't it? First it was Bito and Burn. One witch after another sneered at my fate, trying to make me surrender in their games. But I want the truth. Witch illusions won't work on me. Now I get it, you damn witches. So you sent Oni-chan as a final assassin to finish me off. You're right. This is my game. So of course this is my tale, and I'm the one making it. That's why I'm able to add in what-if situations, like what would happen if you came to the island too? See? You made this tale. It's all a pack of lies, a fiction you created. You're right. This is all a fiction I created. See? You've admitted it. You have, haven't you? Just like I thought, this is all a lie you made. Why are you lying to me? Why won't you tell me the truth? Because there's something I need you to understand. Something more important than the truth. Something more important than the truth? What the hell are you talking about? The purpose of my game is to make you understand that. Just as Bito's games were to make Battler believe in witches, Battler's game was to show Ange something that was more important than the truth. Games never bring about their intended ends by force. After all, Bito's game could never be won for all eternity unless Battler acknowledged witches on his own. Battler's game was the same. Battler couldn't win in this game unless Ange acknowledged it herself. So Battler had advanced this game just as Bito had done in the past. To believe it or not. To accept it or not. The decision lay solely in the hands of the opponent. And so, Battler was trying to enshroud Ange with his own illusion. I finally get it. This is a game between me and you, Oni-chan. Ange, I'm not trying to challenge you to a game. No, this is a game. I made a wish hoping to learn the truth of October 4th, 1986. And so you invited me to this game, saying that you'd show me the truth. Now you're showing me this strange illusion, trying to make me believe that it's the truth. Well, too bad. I'm already used to dealing with witches. I can totally tell you're trying to use that kind of face of yours to trick me. Big Brother realized that no words of his would have any effect on his enraged little sister. So he just quietly listened to Ange's words. But even so, Ange was dissatisfied. I've had more than enough of this stupid farce. If you don't plan on telling me the truth, then end it all now. I'll find my own truth for myself. I won't rely on you. That's right. There never was anyone I could rely on anyway. I've always been all alone. Sorry. I won't let you leave this game. No, that's right. Unless the Game Master admits defeat, the game never ends, right? That isn't what I meant. I'm just telling you to stay quiet and listen. Oh sure. I'll just stay quiet then. Even if a player isn't around, the pieces just move by themselves and the game moves forward. Isn't that how it works? That's right. A player can step back and become an observer for a while if they want. And they can return and join in whenever they want to. Then I'll do that. This is an endurance contest. I'll keep on going until you stop trying to cover up the truth. Something more important than the truth. I don't get it. How could anything like that exist? Battler not understanding how he's losing, Ange who's been eating all the pieces. It does, Ange. Whether my tale's the truth or not, the fact remains that you lost something precious on this island. Dad, Mom, and you, Oni-chan. I lost my family and everything that mattered to me. She spat out those words as though no further questioning would do any good, and looked away. Even as he watched this, Battler's expression remained gentle. Just keep going however you like. Later, Oni-chan. At least make sure you watch the tale. Even just listening is enough. If I feel like it. Later. Ange's eyes clouded. Then a particularly strong gust of wind blew by, sending her hair flying. The wind must have been carrying some dust with it. Ange's nose twitched, and she sneezed loudly. Oni-chan? What is it? How long are we gonna stand here? The weather's all weird. Let's go back to the guest house. Ange's eyes weren't cloudy anymore. However, the tone and atmosphere about those eyes seemed somehow different than before. In a manner typical of young girls, Ange signaled that she too was bored and wanted to go do something. This Ange was clearly a 6-year-old Ange. Good point. Then why don't you head back to the guest house now? I'm going to stay here. Why? It'll start raining soon. It won't be long now, so I'll wait here a bit longer. You're waiting here? Who are you waiting for? Huh? Then, to Ange's eyes, it looked as though the strong winds were carrying flakes of gold along with them. No, she had definitely seen something, but she wasn't able to describe what she had seen. So to her it seemed like flakes of gold dancing on the wind. So, here you are. I've been waiting a while now. It was as though he was talking to the wind. Adler spoke to the empty rose garden. That can't be right. After all, it was clear from his words that he was talking to someone right in front of him. So Ange thought it must be someone that she alone couldn't see, and she rubbed her eyes. Then when she opened her eyes wide, another large gust of wind blew past her. She shut her eyes immediately, and when she timidly opened them, from the other end of the rose garden, yes, from the path that led up from the harbor, a person appeared. To Ange, it looked as though she had appeared along with a cloud of gold flakes carried by the wind. You're late, Bito. Am I? I'd call it early. You should ride the boat with us every now and then. I mean, grasp the handrail and scream alongside you. Yeah, sure, let's scream. Fall, fall. I see, how interesting. Yes, I suppose I did arrive too late. The pair casually walked up to each other and hugged. It looked like a pair of friends being reunited after several years. Ange, surprised by this unfamiliar woman, looks for somewhere to hide. However, her eyes met Bito's and she was unable to escape. Oh, you must be Ange. Huh? She was shocked to hear this unfamiliar woman suddenly using her name. Look, even she can be so cute when she's 6 years old. Oni-chan, who is this person? A friend of mine. Friend? How can you say that? Oni-chan's friend? This is Beatrice. You've heard from grandfather, haven't you? About the golden witch who gave the Ushimi family its gold? Haven't I heard that before? The golden witch. Now I remember. That was the scary witch who would snatch you up and carry you off to the forest if you didn't listen to your parents or stayed up too late on Rokenjima. Mom said that on rainy nights, if you look out the window at the dark forest, you might see the witch looking back at you and get snatched away. Which must mean that I'm supposed to be wandering about in the cold rain, looking into each window to find kids staying up too late? How pathetic that would be. Good point. And your parents just made that story up to get you to bed on time. He just doesn't do stuff like that. Very well, allow me to introduce myself. I am Beatrice, the Golden Witch. Or her grandchild, at least. Grandchild? That grandchild part's a bit of a killjoy. Well, it's true, isn't it? The person that grandfather got the gold from and called the Golden Witch was your grandmother, right? Oh, I guess. The grandchild of the Golden Witch, am I? Ugh, can't I get a better title than that? Is this person a witch? Yep, she is. She's a guest who's been invited to the family conference today. She isn't a scary witch. She's not gonna take me away to the forest. Damn Rudolph and Kyrie. Just what do they think they're telling this child about me? I don't do things like that. I'll lodge a firm protest later, huh? She looked like a fiercely emotional person, but she wasn't at all what Ange had expected the creepy Golden Witch to be like. She was very loud, overreacting to everything. Nothing at all like the witch Murio Nechan talked about, who had lived for 1,000 years and had various servants from the demon world. She looked, well, like an energetic young woman, the kind Ange's mom might have gotten along with great. Her brother and the witch talked together happily like a pair of close friends. Dogs tend not to trust people they meet for the first time. However, people say that they calm down once they see that their owner is on good terms with a stranger. Surely something similar to this was going on in Ange's heart. Ange kept staring at this pushy, temperamental woman who called herself a witch, and she chatted happily with her brother. What's this key for? Bito noticed the gold key hanging from Ange's neck. Ange automatically and defensively grabbed it. That's Ange's precious key. After hearing those vague words, the witch stared blankly for a second. But almost immediately, she seemed to understand what he meant. I see. Is that how it is? I thought it'd be easier to understand if I made it clear what she's supposed to do. Fear not, Ange. No one's going to steal your precious key. Are you sure? Of course. That key belongs to you, and the choice is yours. Balor and the rest of us are merely signposts to guide you on your path. Huh? When her brother gave her the key, he had said it was very important, so she had to take good care of it. And she didn't have a clue what the key was for, but it looked like Bito did. However, just like her brother had done earlier, Bito only spoke in riddles. This irritated Ange, but for the time being, the Golden Witch said that she didn't intend to steal the key, so Ange calmed down a little. Do you know what this key is used for? But of course. However, I cannot tell you. Why not? Because you must decide how to use that key for yourself. The witch said the same thing as my brother. The pair nodded to each other, but it was all Greek to me. It felt like someone had laid out a riddle that everyone knew but me, and everyone was making fun of me. You'll know soon enough. Don't waste time thinking about it. Ange held the key tightly. Even if she didn't understand what it meant, it was her own key, and her big brother had told her to take good care of it. With her youthful suspicion, she was scared the witch might ask her to hand it over, saying she'd teach her how to use it. Of course, her thoughts showed up clearly on her face. The witch couldn't help but laugh at that honest expression. Fear not. It is impossible for anyone to steal that key from you. No one can steal it. You might say it has been imbued with magic to make it so. At any rate, fear not. Neither I, nor Battler, nor anyone else on this island can steal that key from you. Really? Yeah, really. The magic won't let them. The key was hanging around her neck like an ordinary necklace. Ange could take it off right now if she wanted, and if an adult tried to use force, it seemed like it would be easy for them to take it away. However, both her brother and the witch said it was protected by a magic that would stop anyone from stealing it. Does magic really exist? Even the 6-year-old Ange knew nothing about the word, or knew about the word magic. However, she also realized that real magic didn't exist, and that certain kinds of magic tricks were sometimes called magic. However, her brother and the witch were talking about magic itself. Yeah, magic exists. Really? Maria spoke of me often, did she not? She says that witches exist, and she often tells you that magic exists, correct? True, Maria had talked about that many times. When they were just playing, Ange had believed her, more or less. However, Ange was, in some ways, sharp for her age, and when she heard Maria talking happily about magic, she sometimes thought that such a thing couldn't exist. Then show me. Hmm? Show me magic, or I won't believe you. Hold up a second. Ito just arrived on the island and she hasn't even gone to say hello to everyone at the mansion yet. Adler spoke as though he was trying to smooth something over. When she heard that, Ange became sure that magic didn't exist after all. Magic is just a bunch of lies. I know. Hey, stop that. You'll hurt Bito's feelings. No, it's no problem. Anyone would say that upon meeting a witch. Normally I would ignore provocation from such a small child, but she is your little sister after all. Why don't we give her a special showing? Be sure? Of course I am. Watch carefully, Ange. Okay. Though Ange had challenged the witch, now that she was about to be shown magic, she looked a bit hesitant. She gulped and then stared up at the witch's face. The witch held out her left hand, bringing it close to Ange's face. And then she slowly spread her fingers. Ange, thinking that she was about to be turned into a frog, shrank back. What's wrong with turning into a frog? However, after waiting a while and grinding her teeth, she realized that nothing was happening. So the part of her that had been scared began to get angry. Nothing's happening. Don't jump to conclusions. I haven't used magic yet. See? Look carefully at my palm. I'm not hiding anything, correct? Oh, so that's what she's doing. Now that she had finally understood, Ange checked both sides of the witch's hand. Yeah? There's nothing there. Watch closely. I'll make a fist, and then stretch out my index finger. She stretched out her index finger and held it right in front of Ange's eyes. Ange, thinking she'd lose the game, she took a step back, stood her ground, and concentrated on the finger. Watch the tip of my finger closely. Ready? It'll be fast. The witch rapidly lifted her index finger high into the air, pointing at the heavens. Just as Ange looked up to see the finger raised high, it swung down as though trying to dodge her gaze. In that manner, up, down, left, right, then left again, Ange, feeling as though she'd lose if she couldn't keep up with the fingertip, swung her head this way and that, looking serious. Ever since she was young, Ange had hated to lose. She would take even the most trivial games seriously, determined not to lose to the adults. The witch's hand moved faster and faster. Ange didn't lose track of it. Then the high-pointing finger was swung down all of a sudden. The index finger curled up again, and the hand was held in a simple fist. Could it be that something was going to come out of that hand? Ange, who had suspected this might happen, had followed the finger very closely. There was no way that once empty hand could have grabbed anything. Ready? I'm going to open my hand. The witch slowly opened her right fist. And there... What? What? How? How, Oni-chan? The witch gave the cutely wrapped candy to Ange as a present. Ange took it and desperately searched for some kind of trick on it, but it was just an everyday, ordinary candy. How? That was a trick, wasn't it, Oni-chan? Oni-chan? Nope. That was magic. You were watching the whole time, weren't you? Since I was watching the whole time, how did it happen? Ange didn't like it, but she was unable to see how it could have been anything other than magic. As the little sister furrowed her brow and bit her lower lip, her brother gently told her again it was magic. It's about time for me to head to the mansion to pay my respects. You should come along, Battler. I'll suffocate if I have to go alone. You sure? Then I'll join you. What about you, Ange? Will you go back to the guest house? I want to stay with you, Oni-chan. She still couldn't accept it. However, could it really be? She still looked grumpy, but it looked like she was getting interested in this witch. Then let us go. The Golden Witch returns. The Golden Witch's grandchild returns, you mean? We really need to do something about that name. The big brother and the witch really did seem close. With kindred spirits like a pair of comedians, they started walking. Ange held onto the corner of her brother's sleeve, trying to make sure he didn't forget about her. I like the intense music they played as she was doing the magic trick, and it's just like, ta-da, candy. Trust Umineko to play intense music over very simple things. Like Maria and Erica arguing about the cup of candy. The VIP room was filled with a sweet smell of pumpkin tea, and packed with smiles and laughter. Simply splendid. I am glad to see you in such high spirits. I could say the same for you. What idiot said you're reaching your last years? I also like the happy Kinzo we've been getting this episode. I just borrow a bit of cheer from you. Once I return to my study, I'll be a little more than a withering, senile old man. Enough with your lies. Give it up and swear you'll be living at large until you're 100. Same here. I haven't seen you for 6 years, but I was surprised to see how little you've changed. You little brat. So it seems you learned flattery during these past 6 years. Sorry to disappoint you, but you're hardly a fair judge in the matter. I have grown quite old indeed. I'll bet 1,000 yen that Kinzo's still doing great when he turns 100. Yeah, me too. Grandfather won't be any different when he's 100. Don't think you'll get any more presents for complimenting me. Kinzo laughed cheerily. Vito, who sat next to Battler, also laughed merrily. Ange stood all alone by the window, staring at the others and trying to figure out what sort of relationship the witch of the portrait and her grandfather had. There was a knock on the door. Is that you, Genji? Come in. Pardon the intrusion. Kraus-sama and Natsui-sama are here. Father, oh, and Ballerkin's here too. It has been some time, Beatrice-san. Has there been any news? I'm just the way I used to be. Come on, have a seat. And Ange, why are you standing by the window like that? Come over here and sit down. Ange, come over here. I'll just watch from here. Ange grasped the candy she had gotten from Bito tightly. With a gaze that was still wary, she continued to stare. Genji offered her a chair, but Ange just shook her head. Let her do as she pleases. Come, Kraus, Natsui, have a seat as well. Is this something important? I guess Ange and I should leave. Hey, if you leave, who's gonna back me up here? Kinzo, you don't mind if Battler stays, do you? I have nothing to hide. I care not. However, he had called Kraus and Natsui to the VIP room to meet Beatrice, the Golden Witch. It was hard to imagine Kinzo want to have a casual conversation. After Kinzo said he didn't mind, Bito also asked Battler to stay, so he decided to do so. In order to avoid getting in the way of their conversation, Battler stood up from the sofa and walked over to Ange's window. When the big brother finally came back to Ange, she clung to his waist as though determined not to let him go away again. Oh, I see. That must be why Ange doesn't like me. Huh? What do you mean? Ange doesn't dislike you, does she? You really don't understand women, Battler. Ito smiled at Ange, but the latter turned to look the other way. Even a young woman is a woman nonetheless. When Bito stopped laughing, the conversation switched gears. Why on earth did Kinzo summon Kraus and Natsui to the VIP room? And what was he going to talk about? Everyone fell automatically silent. Golden Witch Beatrice, each and every day I remember the debts the Ushime family owes, from when it was safe on the brink of destruction. Yeah, you'd better thank me. Well, it's actually your grandmother he's thanking. Shut up, you. No, it comes to the same thing. All that gold has been lent to the Ushime family for 3 generations, and without cost. We truly cannot be grateful enough. Gold bars are the same as bricks to me. I have nowhere to put them, so I was relieved to have Kinzo hold on to them. Whoa, I'd like to say that just once before I die. Is the Golden Witch a rich person? Well, yeah. After all, she just went and lent grandfather 10 tons of gold. Precisely. I've been borrowing it for several decades, always promising to return it someday. It is a debt I will never be able to fully repay. The head family has never forgotten its gratitude. Isn't that right, dear? Of course. If the Beatrices hadn't kindly lent it to us for 3 generations, the Ushime family would have fallen long ago. Even someone as shrewd as father couldn't have done anything without funds to start with. By now, my money is making money, and the gold that made up my original funds can sleep in peace. Kraus, do you know what I am about to say? Since the moment Kraus had been summoned here, he had guessed what Kinzo was hinting at now. All things borrowed must be returned someday. That day had finally come. Yes, I understand. Father. Beatrice, I do not have many years ahead of me. In fact, this may be the last family conference we will attend together. How faint-hearted you sound. You must be joking. Ito alone laughed. She looked at Battler, so he laughed along with her, but Kinzo and the others remained silent. Apparently there existed some major concerns about Kinzo's health. Of course, I do not intend to die as soon as next year. However, I don't believe I can make any certain promises about meeting you again. I never make promises I cannot keep. If you say it so proudly like that, I'm in no position to disagree. Are you serious about this? Beatrice, I want to make amends. And I must do it while I am still in high spirits. For that reason, I made a decision today. What's grandfather talking about? Quiet. Grandfather's about to talk about something very important. By now, even Battler understood what Kinzo was about to propose. Ito probably realized it too. At one time, the Ushime family had ruled the skies like an eagle before being crushed by the Great Kanto earthquake. The eagle had one of its wings torn off and it crawled in the mud to the point of death. Then they were saved by the Golden Witch's golden miracle. Under the Golden Witch's protection, the eagle had nursed its wounds for many years. And now finally, it was time for the eagle to leave the nest the witch had provided. I will return all of the gold that your grandmother lent me. Kraus, you have no objections, correct? That gold did not belong to the Ushime family in the first place. Of course, I have no objections whatsoever. Are you sure, Kraus? You're an investor, aren't you? You could always do with more money, right? Didn't you want Kinzo to hand the gold over to you? Yes, now that you mention it, it's hard to deny what you say. However, the contract was always between you and father, and the gold was yours to begin with. My husband is the successor, after all. Just as father rebuilt the family in 1 generation, I am sure my husband will make the family thrive in his. And this is something the 2 of us will do together. Well said. Yes, that's the spirit. So, letting go of 10 tons of gold leaves you with no regrets. I must say, this is quite impressive. What can a witch do against an opponent who cannot be swayed by golden magic? I will return the gold to you, but the Ushime family will always be supremely indebted to Beatrice, the Golden Witch. How's Beatrice gonna get it all off the island? With magic, of course! They would return the gold once lent by the Golden Witch. It was both simple and clear. However, the expression worn by the Golden Witch herself was slightly lonely. Ange couldn't understand why this was. After all, if you're returning it, I cannot simply say I don't want it, take it back. Ah, well? Ito rose from the sofa. Then she walked over to the window and looked down at the rose garden waving in the wind. Grouse, I have also decided to present you and the others with my inheritance while I still live. Father, when I die, you will not only be busy with a funeral, but I imagine you will have Ava and the others at your throats over the inheritance issue. If all is divided now, the funeral will be less trying for you. Grouse, write this down. And Genji, please be our secretary. I will now lay out the distribution of my assets. Ginzo immediately began explaining how the inheritance would be split up. Battler, realizing he shouldn't be listening in on this conversation, walked over to where Bito was loitering by the window. Hey, rich person. If you got too much gold in your hands, I'd be happy to lighten the load. Gold would be more useful if you turned it into firewood and used it to cook a stew. What's the matter? You're looking a bit bored. So, this day has finally come. I do feel a bit lonely. You do? My magic revived the Ushimiya family and created Rokunjima. And now it seems the Ushimiya family no longer has any need for the power of my gold. It has taken flight, leaving the nest of my magic behind. True. That's how it's turned out. I've called Rokunjima the Witch's Island. My island. Yeah? And now Rokunjima is returning the gold to me. The day has come for Rokunjima to awaken from my magic. That's true. I knew that this would be the last game. However, now that we've reached this point, even in a manner such as this, it's surprisingly painful. You're the type of person who looks totally carefree, but is actually full of lingering attachments and regrets. The cruel and obstinate ones are usually the quickest to grow attached, and then to feel lonely. That's right. That's the kind of person you are. It was a game for you and me. It was fun. A great game you polished to perfection during those 6 years. I once likened it to eternal torture for the both of us. Eternity is happiest when you can still believe it's eternal. But all things must end, and we have to be aware of that. So we must not avert our eyes. Just as the sun always rises, there's no sun that doesn't set. Of course, Ange didn't have the slightest idea what her brother and the witch were talking about. However, even as young as she was, she could feel that the pair had spent an incredibly long time together, and that they understood each other so well that they might as well be a married couple. Then, Ito noticed her reaction. Ange, at one point the two of us wove games for each other. However, that time is now over. This game has been made not for our sake, but for yours. They were speaking in riddles again. Grasping the key that hung by her chest, Ange looked at her brother's face. We need to show you the contents of the cat box of this day. That key I gave you is for opening it. What do you mean by cat box? He means this day. With the miracle of magic, I've brought you to the day you wanted to reach so much. You must continue telling the story of this day as the final witch. Does that mean that I mustn't remain here? Ange's tone was slightly tense. She understood what her brother meant and it made her frown. Just how long have I suffered, wishing I could return to the Rokunjima of 1986. Now I've finally made it here. So why are you chasing me out? You said I could decide for myself. That's right. I did say that. I'm not leaving. And please stop trying to spoil me with a strange made-up game. I want to know the truth of this day. She's a moody girl, be it 12 years in the future or in the past. Shut up, I didn't ask you. What the hell do you think you're doing here? Didn't the Golden Witch come here to perform her resurrection ceremony? Did you appear on the island with a crash of thunder and try to offer up 13 people as sacrifices? Why are you acting so happy and casual? It doesn't make sense. You're the one that doesn't make sense. What are you thinking? Do you want me to be a murderer? He wrote it down in his tail, sealed it in a message bottle, and threw it into the sea. 2 of those were discovered later on. Both of them were stories of cruel serial murders. What a shame that only 2 of them made it to shore. How sad that my land, my greatest masterpiece, was never seen by human eyes. This is actually a reference to one of the games was actually originally supposed to be called Land of the Golden Witch, and it was cancelled. I think it was replaced by Banquet. I think it was Banquet that it replaced. So there's kind of a sly little reference to that. I've been wanting to ask this for a while, but what's up with those message bottles? As I was working out the details for my game against you, I began creating those tales along the way. Once I realized I could create endless different tales out of the same game board, it really started to get fun. So you wrote them down hoping I'd read them someday? Precisely. They were so good I just couldn't bear to wait for your return. Inspired by Agatha Christie, I tried sealing them in bottles and throwing them in the ocean. Mysterious, don't you think? Don't mock me! Those were your plans for the crime! You used the location of the hidden gold to fan up discontent between the family members, as you planned your brutal serial murders. Sheesh, is that what I've become in the year 1998? Well, I guess I can't blame them. Huh? What's with the sudden change of character? Is this some scheme to make me let my guard down? I'm not gonna be fooled so easily, Beatrice, Oni-chan. You want to make me surrender and say that witches exist, don't you? You think I'll fall for that? I'll find the truth out without your help. Even though that truth is all around you right now. You once called yourself Gretel, but it seems the name Mittel would be more fitting. Enough! Ange tried to slap Bito's cheek. However, the difference between their heights was so great that Bito dodged before the hand could reach her. Stupid. Stupid! I won't accept it. I'll never acknowledge this verse as the truth. After Ange yelled those words, her eyes grew cloudy. They cleared up almost immediately. By that time, she'd already gone back to her 6-year-old self. You're right, Ange. This is the sin I left behind, and the reason for this final tale's existence. Huh? As Ange stared blankly, uncomprehendingly, Bito gently patted her head. Indeed, this tale is a farce. Of course it isn't the truth. However, there is something that he feels he must tell you. Something he's so determined to convey that he went to such lengths. Bito, I'm already showing her. I don't want to force it on her. I see. I don't understand what you're saying. I'm sleepy. True. We should probably go take a nap. Hinzo, must I remain here longer? My apologies, but I must ask you to stay for just a bit. Moving on, Kraus. The continued support of the Fukuin house should be viewed as your responsibility, as the Ushimi family head. What a pain. Forgive me, Badler. It seems I cannot go with you. Genji, would you mind taking these 2 to the guest house? As you wish. Badler-sama, Ange-sama, please follow me. Thanks. See you later, Bito. Of course. I have a mountain of things I wish to discuss with you, and I'd like to have some time alone tonight. We must act the part of a married couple every now and then. What do you mean, act the part of a married couple? Because Ange had gotten so bored, she had grown very sleepy. It would probably be best for her to take a quick nap. Badler walked through the windy rose garden and pulled her by the hand. When he questioned their guide, Genji, he learned that the old servant had known beforehand of Kinzo's desire to return the gold to Bito and settle the inheritance problem early. The master decided to start preparations early for his final task in this world, the ending of his life. Most people don't think much about what happens after they die. Huh. Guess grandfather just lives on a whole different scale. Today marks the start of a new flight, when the Ushimi family will depart from the Golden Witch's patronage. That's true. Huh. That's a pretty cool way to say it. Apparently, a grand Halloween party was to be held tonight, and Goda and the others had been ordered to start getting ready for it. However, it wouldn't just be a party. It would be a ceremony to mark the return of Beatrice's gold. At the start of the dinner, Grandfather would make the announcement, and the 3 generations of Beatrices would be thanked for their gift to the family with a round of applause. Apparently this was what they had planned. Are we still keeping this secret from Dad and the others? Technically, it is a secret. However, the Master did not suddenly begin thinking in this way today. He has considered this day many times over many years, and has even discussed certain matters with his children. I doubt that any will be surprised to hear this night's announcement. Apparently my old bastard's been running all over the place trying to get money for his company. I guess he'll be dancing around when he hears that Grandfather's giving him part of his inheritance early. A nice present for him. I rather think the great responsibility is what will spur him on. Ever since Rudolph Sama left the island, he has succeeded splendidly. However, his success so far has been supported by the Master's wealth. Now that he's suddenly getting his inheritance money, he'll have to keep going by his own strength and alone in the future. Huh, that's some nice pressure for him. The siblings must have suffered for decades because of their father's excess of success and ability. Simply having a parent who is too successful could be a great burden to a child. And tonight, they'll be leaving the nest, truly becoming adults for the first time. It seems the Master plans to call this night a gold returning ceremony. However, he originally intended to call it a living funeral. Sounds pretty depressing having a funeral while you're still alive. I'll admit that calling it a day to start a new journey and leave the nest fits the Ushimi family much better. Oni-chan, I'm sleepy. Look, we're almost to the guest house. Do you want to go to Mom's room? Or to the cousin room? I don't care. I'll sleep until dinner. Ange, still holding her brother's hand, crouched down and looked as though she was about to fall asleep. Battler lifted her up and carried her. As she felt the warmth and safety of her brother's back, Ange drifted off to sleep. What happened that day? Just what on earth happened on October 4th and 5th, 1986? Because of the massive size of the Rokkenjima explosion accident, the time of the explosion was known almost exactly down to the minute. That time was October 5th, 24 o'clock. The sheer improbability of that round number proved the accident had been produced by artificial means. Later on, the following statements were collected from individuals who knew Ushime Kinzo when he was alive. During his lifetime, Ushime Kinzo built a clock, rigged to blow up the island at exactly 24 o'clock. This clock was apparently inside his secret study. When he felt mentally cornered and wanted to think up a brilliant plan, he would activate that device and use the tension of the approaching midnight to bring some flash of inspiration to him. While Ushime Kinzo still lived, this was only thought of as his tall tale about this eccentric man. But the fact that Rokkenjima explosion accident occurred exactly 24 o'clock supported the story. It sounds crazy. He must have hoped to gain some sort of mystical power from those short periods of madness. If we call that his source of high-output mental power, the story isn't that difficult to swallow. Professor Utsuki spoke passionately. Witch hunters. Enthusiasts who treat the mad fantasies surrounding Rokkenjima as their plaything. Ange had no reason to love these people who embellished the deaths of her family just for the fun of it. How ironic it was to Ange, who wanted to know what happened that day, that such people knew more about that island than anyone else. If someone used that device, the island would be blown away without a trace. There would be nothing left. No matter what happened there, they could erase it. Theories that Ushime Eva was the ringleader of some conspiracy sprang up very early on. However, no one was able to explain how she set off such a massive explosion. And the rigged clock proves that such a thing was possible. Correct. We can theorize that Ushime Eva, fully aware of the timing and expected radius of the explosion, took refuge in Kuwadorian. To get all the family wealth to herself, she killed everyone and used the explosion to remove all evidence. That idea proves the most logical explanation for the Rokkenjima mystery. It also conforms with the fact that Eva never spoke to anyone about the events of that day. Where was that rigged clock and how did Eva find it? Several forgeries had speculated on this matter. There's no need for me to waste time thinking about it. Ava activated the clock device hid in Kyodorian to escape the blast, and was therefore the only one to survive. That was everything, the answer, which eloquently told the whole story. When Ava first adopted me, our relationship wasn't that bad at all. I asked her several times, what happened that day? Every single time she answered, it was to say that she didn't remember. But well, she must have been flustered at the time. The very first time I asked her, she answered like this. I can't tell you about it. It was a slip of the tongue. She knew what had happened that day, and she left this world without telling even a bit of the truth. She sealed the truth in a cat box, and left this world taking the key with her. There can only be one answer. She was behind everything. She got to keep all the family wealth to herself and became super rich. And afterwards she lamented the fact that her beloved son would never inherit any of what she had created, and she cursed me. Just remembering that old bitch makes me want to vomit. Hey Lace, welcome to the stream! Thanks for coming by and thank you for the stretch reminder. Everyone else, make sure you take the chance to stretch as well. What happened that day? That's what I want to know. It's my only goal. The one reason I'm still alive. However, later on, I had to come to grips with the fact that my goal was an abstract one. After all, though I didn't know what happened that day, if it's a question of who did the crime, that's already clear. Ushimi Ava. She's the culprit. That has never changed since the beginning. That's right. I'm not trying to find out what happened that day. I'm trying to find out what Ushimi Ava did that day. Lace, thank you so much for the sub. I really appreciate it. 6 months, it's awesome. I'm really grateful for all your support. Thank you, thank you. If I could reveal that, then I could expose Ava's evil even though she's already dead. That is my true goal. The police also suspected that the accident might be a crime, and they did investigate. However, no matter how much they inspected the crater that had once been Rokonjima, they didn't find anything at all. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the new emotes. The public and the witch hunters cornered Ava with several bits of circumstantial evidence, but not a single bit of physical evidence was found. Though Ava was only the merest fraction of a shade away from guilty, they were unable to expose her crime. My goal isn't anything as vague as learning what happened that day. It's to expose the crime that Ushimi Ava committed that day, and to have my revenge. I haven't been able to expose Ushimi Ava's crime, so people are acting as though the events on that island were all done by some bizarre golden witch. Defeating the golden witch means exposing Ushimi Ava's sin. I won't forgive Ushimi Ava. I'll certainly hate her and take revenge for my family. That is Ushimi Ange's one and only reason for living. Ha! If she knew you hated her that much, the president would probably be rolling around laughing in the next world. Shut up. I'll expose that old bitch's crime. I won't accept that it was a perfect crime with all traces blown away. I'll never do that. In other words, this journey of yours is the journey to take revenge for your family. Got a problem with that? You must be joking. It's great to know you have a purpose in life. Could you turn that off? Oh? You don't like Mzaki? One of the composers for this game? Hey Blue Moss, welcome to the stream. Yes, jazz music jump scare. Amakusa turned the radio off. The dull sound of the engine became the background music that filled the car. Is it really so strange? Fighting for revenge? Not really. On the front, I met people who live for that reason over and over. You've been on battlefields many times as a mercenary, right? Well, I've seen a few. So, are people who fight take revenge for their families strong? No doubt about it. Some people even strap bombs themselves and commit suicide to take revenge for their families. Humans are more than capable of dying for vengeance. That's right. I could do it too. Have you heard of child soldiers? You mean kids who fight like soldiers? That's it. Kids who lost their parents and have nowhere to go sometimes get picked up by groups of armed insurgents and become soldiers. They get a gun thrust in their hands and they're taught how to take revenge. But in the end, children are expendable. Anyone can be a soldier in a battlefield if they can pull a trigger. Are you trying to say that I'm like that? Revenge could be a reason for living. It could also give you the strength to become a soldier. Like a miracle, it could turn a girl who could do nothing but sob over her parents' corpses into a soldier almost overnight. Nothing gives you more power than revenge. I guess so. And that's what I'm like. You know about the child soldier problem? No? Child soldiers who are given guns and taught how to take revenge make that their reason for living. Well, that's not exactly right. It becomes their reason for firing their guns. But revenge is something that never ends. At some point, they no longer have any reason to keep shooting. What do you mean? They once shot for revenge, but eventually they keep on shooting for no reason at all. You mean they forget about taking revenge? When revenge is impossible, they eventually get tired of it and forget their original goals. When that happens, they have nothing except their guns. Eventually, they'll keep shooting just so they can eat. You're saying that child soldiers who started using guns for revenge end up as bandits or something. After all, they've never even gone to school and they haven't been taught any useful skills as far as employment goes. They only learn how to shoot guns. And they were only ever praised when they killed the enemy. Eventually, your reason for living stops being revenge and becomes the means you once used to take revenge. It's sad, really. Are you saying I'll eventually get tired of revenge, and... what would it be in my case? You'll get tired of exposing the truth, and you'll eventually become a person who could do nothing but hate Ushime Eva. Well, that's true already. Got a problem with it? Come to think of it, that's right. I'm not sure what Amakusa's trying to say. Probably something annoying. So I'm not interested. Revenge is pointless. Is that what you're trying to say? Oh, sorry, this is Ange. Revenge is pointless. Is that what you're trying to say? You still have a long life ahead of you, lady. With your youth, you could do anything. I get the feeling this journey might be a waste of that precious youth. It's none of your business. I've already jumped once, remember? Off that huge skyscraper. And you only barely made it out of that alive. Back then, I died. So I'm already a ghost. My only purpose is to expose the truth of that day, to take revenge on my family's enemy. Sheesh. That's an iron will you got there, lady. There's no way a flippant man like you could understand how I feel. After that, Amakusa was forced to shut his mouth. He shrugged, but Ange didn't see. Even so, Amakusa spoke once more. On the first day we started this journey, you said something. You said you wanted to know what happened on that island that day. It's the same now. What's changed? Now you're saying you want to know what happened on that island that day, so you could expose Ushime Eva's crime. And isn't that exactly the same thing? Well, that's true, but... I'm tired, so I'll sleep now. Would you mind staying quiet for a bit? Tell me when we get there. Roger that. I wasn't particularly tired, really. I just said that because I didn't like talking about this. Don't become one. Child soldier. Ange, who had decided to feign sleep, ignored him. But Amakusa kept talking. He wanted to make sure she heard at least this much. You started on a journey to learn the truth. It's becoming more and more of a journey of revenge. A journey to have revenge by exposing the truth. But as you know, there's nothing left on Rokunjima. There aren't even any traces left. Exposing the truth might not be a picnic. I know what Amakusa's trying to say. The police searched the scene so thoroughly just after the crime, and even they weren't able to find any physical evidence proving that Ushime Eva was the culprit. And a full 12 years have passed since then. If the truth could be discovered by a girl like me, waving wads of cash around to pick up a bit of info from those who were somehow related to the incident, then someone would have exposed the truth long ago. I might not be able to reach the truth. If so, then my first desire, my desire to expose the truth, will probably fade away. After that, only my hatred for Ava will remain. Just like those child soldiers who forget their original purpose and just live to shoot. I'll forget my original purpose and live just to hate. I'll do nothing but despise Ushime Ava, but my goal, exposing the truth for revenge, will be gone. So hating Ushime Ava will become my whole life. Is there any difference between shooting for revenge and shooting to live? When you pull the trigger, someone dies either way. What about my case? Is there any difference between hating Ava as I expose the truth, hating Ava after I've given up? There is no difference. In the end, whether I find the truth or not, I'll just keep on cursing Ava over and over until I die. Yeah, the random car horns in the background. Maybe Amakusa's a terrible driver. What a crappy life. Now that's all I have left. Ushime Ava stole my family. So I'll take revenge by exposing her crimes and showing the world. My consciousness was slowly drifted off to sleep. Why is Oni-chan showing me such a bizarre Rokenjima? Is this supposed to be the truth? Enough with this farce. Why even is Oni-chan trying to hide the truth from me? I'm trying to find it so I can avenge him and the others. Or would Oni-chan say the same thing as Amakusa? That revenge is meaningless, so I should stop. Is that why he's speaking in riddles, trying to make everything more confusing? It's none of his business. I'm not just trying to take revenge for their sakes. I'm doing it for my sake, too. After all, that's the only reason I'm still alive. Taking revenge is my reason to live. I don't have a clue what Oni-chan is thinking. So, there we have the opening of episode 8. A fun, happy time on Rokujima with a whole family and a very kindly Kinzo and everyone getting along. It's perfect, right? Surely things won't go poorly, right? But yeah, this, oh, thank you for the stretch, Kieran. So with the way this episode is broken up, I'm doing 6 streams instead of 5 streams like usual to finish it. So this one's going to be a bit shorter because of pacing, because the next time, it just makes more sense if I break up. You'll see next time in the stream. I think this episode's really interesting, and I think the opening sequence especially has a lot of symbolism and metaphor in it that you might miss the first time around, so it's kind of neat going back and doing it the second time. Of course, this screen has changed a little bit. We can see Ange is now here. Little Ange. The first time we actually get to see young Ange from a third-person perspective. Everyone else is mostly the same. Just descriptions of their family, roles, and status. We'll just quickly go over them. If you're watching on YouTube, you could pause it. But since this is the last episode, I do want to go over everyone thoroughly. Kind of weird sometimes seeing their full bodies. We're so used to just seeing like waist ups. Let's look at the meta world. Right now there's no one here because we haven't really been hanging out in the meta world yet. But there we have it. So tomorrow on stream, I'm gonna be on Drago's channel. We're gonna finish the last case of the Great Ace Attorney 2 on his channel. It'll be a lot of fun. Saturday, I'll do more Umineko. We'll continue this. It'll be another short stream, or like a stream on the shorter side compared to usual. And then next week, we'll kind of juggle around between finishing Umineko Episode 8 and doing the post-game stuff for Final Fantasy 16. So once all that is finished, then we should be good to get on and play Marvel Spider-Man before Marvel Spider-Man 2 comes out, which I'm very excited for as well. Thank you everyone for coming by. Thank you everyone for listening to me read. I appreciate all the subs and all the support. I'm glad you guys like the new emotes. I'm very thrilled with them, and I'm very happy to see you guys using them. Let's figure out who we're going to rate today. Oh great, Mikaru is streaming. He's streaming Identity V. We haven't dropped in on him in a while. He's also an amazing artist. Like, he draws his own models and everything, and he takes commissions, so you should go check him out and give him a nice follow when you come in and say hi to him. Yeah, thank you everyone. Take care, hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.